11th of December it is of 2024. Did you also know that today is International Mountain Day, right? It's got a theme, Mountain Solutions for a Sustainable Future, Innovation, Adaptation, and Youth. Did you know that? Well, if you didn't know, you already know that now. Now, what is the bone of contention? I mean, just recently we've seen some very actionable action, coming from the CJN, as the Chief Justice of Nigeria right there, the AGF, warning against frivolous complaints against judges. Now, the Chief Justice of Nigeria and the Attorney General of the Federation, they have both warned against filing frivolous complaints against judges, and they've been threatening sanctions against those who engage in such practices. Now, that move actually aims to protect judges from harassment and ensure the independence of the judiciary. But the question Nigerians are really asking is, with all of these that you have put in place, and the efforts of past administration to see to it that the judiciary is indeed well taken care of in terms of their welfareism, we really seen an impact and a change in the very processes that constitute the institutionalization of the Nigerian judiciary. Have we been able to see the judiciary stand out and stand firm under various, processes in terms of law court suits and all of that, judgments and all? Have we seen that? I mean, a couple of times we have seen and we have given voice and rise to the need for the judiciary to be well taken care of. We have spoken in terms of finances, and we have seen that with this current administration, the Tinubu administration precisely, been doing quite a lot, for the judiciary. But then, is the judiciary indeed acting in commiseration with these efforts? It doesn't just stop at saying that, okay, that those who are indeed filing frivolous complaints against judges should be penalized or should be sanctioned. But then, does this also embody the very essence of what the judiciary stand, for? Does it indeed trickle down into the embodiment, the picture, the emblem that the judiciary is supposed to stand for? The common mass, the average Nigerian or the general populace, without having to treat certain peoples as though they were sacred cows, is the question the Nigerians are asking. But in a recent development too, elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark has also commended the Chief Justice of Nigeria and the Justice Olukayode Aruola at the time for resolving the Onogen saga. Clark praised CJN for his leadership in resolving, our leadership in resolving the crisis which had threatened the stability of the judiciary. He also applauded Justice Aruola for his role in resolving the matter. That was sometime in the past, and not too long ago now, recent past if you like. The Onoge saga also refers to the controversy surrounding the suspension of former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onoge. Onoge was accused of false asset declaration and was suspended by President Muhammadu Buhari at the time, the former president now. The suspension was widely criticized, though, with many arguing that it was unconstitutional. But whether or not it was unconstitutional, it still had the backing of several judges who still stood for such pronouncement. And that is what, begins to make Nigerians want to tick as though it was the tick of a bomb, saying that, hey, this is not right. If you can constitute and conspire to speak in line with whoever sacred cow that you are protecting to take out an innocent man at the time, and you are still in government, these judges are still there, what are we now saying about the justice system in the country, right? But the National Judicial Council (NUC) and NJC eventually intervened, and Onoga has retired as a CJN. Right, so that is it. But then it leads us to the topical issue in discourse now. Only yesterday we saw on the front page of Nigerian newspapers where it was said that the CJN had taken a position on how to stop conflicting rulings, and you and I know all of that saga. I mean, I wouldn't want to bore you with that conversation. We saw the rulings with Kogi State Governor Yahya Bello at the time, where we had rulings, counter rulings. In fact, one particular one would be the Rivers State government itself. Abuja is ruling here, Rivers is ruling another thing. Is it the 22 lawmakers that were suspended? There's a ruling here, there's another ruling there, and it brought the entire process of what the judiciary system should look like into some sort of a laughable, situation. But then we are now seeing how the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kerekun, now is addressing the issue of conflicting court rulings in the country. Well, this issue has been recurring. It's been a recurring problem in Nigeria's judicial system, and it has led to confusion and inconsistency in the application of the law. Now, the CJN's remark come at a time when the judiciary is facing criticism for its handling of high-profile cases. And now, there is a pertinent question now. What would be, or what are the historical factors that have contributed to the problem of conflicting court rulings in Nigeria? Right, we'll be looking into that, but we're not looking into that with just you and I in the picture. But yes, we have our guest who's joining us via phone call, and we will get engaging with them, and then he gives us his 2 cents, on some of the proposals that the Chief Justice of the Federation has actually put out there. I mean, let's also look at yet another, some of the things that she advocated for. Now, she advocated for conferences by justices to prevent conflicting rulings. She emphasized, the importance of holding conferences and exchanging opinions and ideas on matters before the justices. So the CJN is also expressing concern over the growing negative perception of the judiciary, and the fact that there is a need for judges to remain very, very vigilant as well as steadfast in their defense of judicial independence. Now, other stakeholders, including the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, Lateef Fagbemi San, and the Chairman of the Body of Benchers, BOB now, Adegboyega Awomolo San, also spoke at the conference. Now, they emphasized the need for judges to be mindful of the challenges facing the judiciary and to remain committed to upholding the integrity of the judicial system right there. There's quite a number the conversation that is outgoing out there. But let me paint you, or rather allow me to relate hypothetically a scenario to illustrate the human impact of the issue with hopes to paint a vivid picture of conflicting court rulings in Nigeria. Now, just take a situation in mind. Open mind now. Imagine a situation where a family is embroiled in a land dispute, and that land dispute has been going on for years. I mean, that family has been to several courts, and each of those courts have given different ruling. Now, the family is frustrated. There is a state of confusion hovering around that situation and circumstance, and they don't know which ruling to follow. I mean, this scenario sure paints the picture and illustrates the human impact of conflicting, court rulings and judgments, and the need for the judiciary to find a solution to the problem. Then how can the judiciary ensure that its rulings are consistent and fair, and that they do not perpetuate injustice? Well, our guest is in the person of Barrister Ahmed Tanimu Abubakar. He is a public affairs analyst, a human rights activist, and a lawyer who is based in Abuja. Barrister Ahmed Tanimu, welcome to the Pro Show this morning. Hello, Barrister? Are you there? Okay, we'll try to get with the barrister in a short bit right there as we see a little bit of connection issue. Now, I painted a picture to you already, and the CJN's call for a better justice process, especially in the court of law, that would allow for seamless, and very, very fair judgments being passed, and such that we don't have conflicting judgments here and there being passed on a particular individual or a particular situation. And she has pointed it out that, look, this is what is causing the chaos, and that there is a need for more conferences to be put together to advocate this, to ensure that everybody is in an alignment with this particular cause. Hello and good morning to you, Barrister Ahmed Tanimu.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
That's right.
I like being on your program.
Yes, it does feel good to hear from you again, Barrister. I believe you are really prepping for the Yuletide season. Of course, this is December, right?
Yeah.
All right. That being said, well, Barrister, if it's okay for me to say that your principal, and I'm talking about the CJN now, Kekerekon, has put out some thought as to how to end the almost embarrassing conflicting judge rulings or judgment rulings. And if you look at it historically, the problem of conflicting court rulings in Nigeria is not new, right? I mean, it has been a recurring issue in the country's judicial system for many years. Now, one of the historical factors that has contributed to the problem, some have allotted to the lack of clear and consistent judicial policy. And that is why there's a situation where different courts have different interpretations of the law, and that is leading to conflicting rulings. What role has the lack of a clear and consistent judicial policy played in the problem of conflicting court rulings in Nigeria? And how do you also find the voice of the CJN as well as the AGF in their appeal to stopping some of these ludicrous or many court rulings as we have it in the country today?
Okay, this is a very important question, and I want to respond by saying that it is not true that the judiciary does not have a unified ruling guiding it. All courts are guided by rules of court. But one thing we must note is that each case is treated on its merits. You cannot have the same facts, the same law for every matter. Every case is treated based on its merits, based on its peculiarity, based on the circumstances that warrant such kind of cases. So now there naturally be human intervention. Since those facts, those circumstances are subject to humans to interpret, naturally there will be divergent perspective. You don't expect a versatile judge, a judge that has been into, let's use, that has background or understanding in engineering or in the medical parlance, to handle a particular matter in the same way and manner from somebody that has never had that kind of experience. The capacity to evaluate the facts placed before the judge is naturally different. So that will affect the judgment of the court. This has always been the case. So conflicting judgment is not as a result of divergence in the applicable rules guiding court, or is not as a result of the fact that the laws being interpreted are different. But as human, our perspective and viewpoint is determined by our experience, by our patriotism, by our steadfastness in assimilating and interpreting the provisions of any given law. So conflict of conflicting judgment will naturally come in. Then another factor that you need to look into is that you have a situation where some courts have concurrent jurisdiction. The Federal High Court and the High Court on certain matters have the same jurisdiction on the same time. So judges are human. Judges act based on the facts presented before them. So if a litigant decides to withhold some certain facts in a different court and goes ahead to present it in another court, there is a limit to which the judge now can give judgment based on the facts that have been laid before him. So we must understand with our courts that our judges are performing a Herculean task of trying to interpret the law, but that can only be done based on the facts that have been placed before our judges.
Well, when you say that our judges are only acting based on the facts that has been presented before them, and that you're looking into the experiential knowledge of some of our judges too, in terms of experience, in terms of the social exposure, political exposure, and what have you. Are you saying that there is some sort of incompetence within and amongst the judges? Because some Nigerians would want to quickly point out to saying that for the CJN to come out at a point like this to stating that there is a need for an end to the conflicting judgments, that it means that there is a problem. And some very quickly want to attribute it in line with your thoughts that, probably is a case of some of the judges needing maybe a retraining, maybe going through different conferences, maybe they need an overhauling. Is there a brain drain and all of that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the fact still remains undeniable. No legal practitioner in Nigeria can deny the fact that we all have issues with the mode and manner judges are appointed at the moment. As we have it today, is more or less a family affair. Go and investigate all the judges that we have today, up, down. You discover that they have family ties with those that were there before now, or they have direct link with those in political offices. So we must completely divest and remove the appointment of judges, regardless of how competent they might be, for political interference, from family consideration, from imposition. The process of appointment of judges at all levels, in every state, in every cadre, is not as transparent as is expected, because we all know what happens. The independence is not really there. It's not that they are not competent, they are competent, but we want more openness in the appointment of judges. Once anybody, any lawyer that has met the criteria, the employment and appointment process should be very open, should be very transparent, so that you now have patriotic people in the helm of affairs, people that will give laudable judgment that will be devoid of any form of interference. If you are the one that paved way for me to go to the bench, naturally, in one way or the other, I will be answerable to you. And that has always pans out in so many instances. So the question that normally comes to mind is that a lot of people are there on the bench based on patronage. We need to do more. The MDA need to do more. The process of appointing judges must be very, very open and very transparent. Anybody that is interested should submit an application. There should be a routine aptitude test for every person that is interested. Then there should be the background check in terms of character. We are all lawyers. Some we know our practice, how we go about our affairs, conducting our affairs with our other colleagues and other clients. We should be able to now have people of highest reputational standards to be the ones manning our various courts. That being said, The other issue now, as I made mention, I talked about patriotism.
Okay.
You can be competent, you can be the most favored, the most apt for the job. So what about patriotism? What about you not putting in your sentiments? What about you not bringing tribalism? What about you not being a religious bigot? What about you not being compromised? We all know what happens in some instances, and when you have judgments and some are not circumspect. If I'm a judge in, for example, maybe in the Federal High Court, and I know a similar matter is before the High Court, I want to be more circumspect by asking. Some courts have even gone ahead to now make it that, for example, the Federal High Court, you are supposed to disclose to an affidavit that you don't have a similar matter in another court on this same subject matter.
Right.
But what you discover is that they have that, and they still go ahead to file multiplicity of action. The issue is what has been the consequences of those violators. The courts have not been very hard on them. So the laws are there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
You have abundance of practice directory to guide the operation of courts.
Yes.
But we are equally lacking in terms of enforcement, in terms of sanction for erring judges. Most of the times you see judges will give judgments that are not completely in tune, and what will happen is that at the appeal level, so judgment will be turned down and there won't be consequences. I think it's high time a kind of mechanism should be deployed.
Well, I'm glad.
Judgment to be analyzed, consequences should be in terms of denial of promotion, in terms of there should be consequences for bad behavior.
Right. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because when you look at when you made mention of this, when you started, one of the things that came to my mind was that could this be that the system in itself is porous and or opaque? It's not very straightforward about having people who seemingly have affiliations or who are loyalists to certain persons, debarred from, attaining certain levels, within the judiciary system. What measures are there? Is this to say that we don't have any sort of system or laws within the judiciary that, looks into this? But you've already made it clear that there are these offerings in the law that binds, the judiciary, but then it is in the implementation. And then you're also pushing for stiffer, penalties for those who are offending, if I understand you correctly, right? But then let's look at, the place of trust. Because when you look at all of these things, it trickles down to trust. And if we are going to talk about the judiciary in Nigeria, I mean, if you're going to have a vox pop where you go into the society there and you ask an average Nigerian what they think about the judiciary and all, what you will hear will amaze you. And the denominator usually is we don't trust the judiciary, because the judiciary is one-sided in its ruling and it only pays attention to the sacred cows and does not pay attention to what would be termed or tagged in quotes the common man, right? So there are social factors that probably, as some of these court rulings have exacerbated some social factors. One of the social factors that contributed to the problem is the lack of trust in the judiciary, and this situation has led to a place where people do not even have confidence in the ability of the judiciary to deliver fair and just rulings, and that is that's been leading to conflicting, rulings. Now, what role has the lack of trust in the judiciary played in the problem of conflicting court rulings, especially in Nigeria, and how do we come out of the woods on this?
Yes, judiciary as an organ of government and judiciary in the discharge of its responsibility is built upon the confidence and the trust that the ordinary litigant before it reports in the judiciary. If the trust is eroded, like what we have now in the past 6 years or so, it's becoming rampant that most litigants now are completely dissatisfied with the outcome of some judicial pronouncement. and this places a serious strain and burden on the judiciary. At any point, a litigant should have confidence, because as you all know, which we always illustrate, that justice is both for the society, for the litigant, and for the defendant. It's a three-way traffic. So justice must not only be done; it must be seen. It must be seen to be done. People should have that perception. People should have that feeling that their rights are being protected. If that is lacking, no matter what comes out of it, the doubt already created as a result of either the treatment that seems not to be without fear or favor, the people will continue, the confidence will continue to erode the bench as we have it today. So you naturally, for this to be caught, we need to do like what we call soul searching.
Okay.
Judicial officers need to look introspect. Unlike other arm of government, they are not expected to have a public relation officer that will be explaining their position on issue. The best public relation officer they have is the content of their judgment and how it affects the society. Judiciary plays the most important being the third arm of government. So emphasis is placed on that confidence at every point in time. It's not only about the judiciary being the hope of the common man. The common man should equally have confidence that their rights are protected as a result of the activities of judicial officers. So the incidences of corruption, the incidences of compromise is not expected in the judicial balance. In other balance, not that is expected, but is more, because a compromised judge is more dead than a madman running amok with a knife. Okay. This one everybody knows is a madman, then they want to take precaution. But somebody that you have submitted your life, you have submitted your decision that has to bother with your person, your property, and you expect the highest standard, only for at the end of the conclusion of the matter, you discover that certain things cannot even make any sense, is not logical, is not based on facts, is not based on provision of extant law, rather due to and caprices, which ordinarily will only be if there are incidences of compromise. So our judicial officer, what is expected of them to build confidence is, number one, to ensure that judgment cases are done in record time, cases are treated in the most fairest manner. The judgment should reflect the complete, should be based on the complete presentation of facts built upon a given law, and should be able to stand the test of time. Judgment of most courts are supposed to be a precedent, so that tomorrow, if a similar occurrence of such kind of event is repeated, you should be confident as a litigant that what happened in the previous case is the same thing that will be reflected in this current case.
Right, Barrister.
In Nigeria, over time, people are finding it difficult to relate, to want to rely on a previously decided case, even if the facts and the circumstances are the same. The challenge is now that you now have another judge that his perception is completely different from the perception of the earlier judge, and what influenced that perception is another thing of concern.
All right, Barrister Ahmed Tanimo, we should go on a recess now. We'll be right back in a short bit as we have some bills to pay. Right? Keep your ears glued, and also stay with us on the audiovisual platform, talking about YouTube and Facebook. We'll be right back in a short bit. It is Eagles Outlook. We talk politics, we talk current affairs, and this is where your voice is heard.
Eagles 102.3 FM, Abuja, here to stay.
Do you want to cash out big on Nigeria's most exciting lottery platform this happy season and beyond? Become an Afro Lottery System Kiosk operator in your city and make your dreams come true. Call 0818-987-2332 or visit our website www.afrolottery.com. Approved by National Lottery Regulatory Commission. Afro Lottery, your cash out gateway. Only for 18 and above. Bet responsibly.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Please listen to this infomercial.
Hello, Nigeria. Hello, Arthur. Do you want to work in the healthcare sector? Do you want to be a trained, certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, or caregiver? If yes, then register to enroll for Push Africa's one-year diploma in certified nursing assistant training happening at the African University College of Science and Technology, Abuja. Targeted trainees are unemployed graduates, O-level or ordinary diploma graduates, or anyone interested in working as a support worker in the healthcare sector. For details, log on to www.pushafrica.org or WhatsApp 080-339-42015, 080-339-42015, 080-339-42015. For registration, pick up application form at our partner radio stations or visit the reception at the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja.
Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Here to stay.
Education is the major determinant of individuals' development and societal transformation, as individuals of educated societies are productive and patriotic in nation building, while uneducated societies are more prone to developmental challenges such as unemployment, insecurity, and underdevelopment, especially amongst the growing population, as available statistics in Nigeria shows that there are 20 million out-of-school children, in which about 12 million of them are in northern Nigeria, a number that is threatening the peace, security, and the social well-being of the country. Based on this assertion, the Universal Basic Education Commission UBEC is calling on Nigerians in rural and urban centers, especially parents, to always send their children to schools for them to have a qualitative education. Apart from parents, community leaders such as royal fathers, religious leaders, youth organizations, and the civil society have critical roles to play in ensuring that children are sent to school in their respective communities. It is only by so doing that we can all have educated, productive, and responsible leaders of tomorrow. Remember, education is the key to success.
This message is from UBEC.
Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Here to stay.
I don't need no liquor. I'm intoxicated by you.
My country people, who work is supposed to enjoy you after all the hustle. You not supposed to take your comfort play to fit sleep the way it's supposed to be. Make you go grab your Eurofoam mattress. Make you forget your full comfort. Whether na Euro Spring, Euro Orthopedic, or semi orthopedic, money and diamond purse. And for Comfort Pro Max, Eurofoam don't introduce latest in town. That na Euro Elite. This one they sleep jolly meant no get equal. Eurofoam get quality pillows and sheetings. Eurofoam shop yakpa everywhere for Bodo Nigeria. Eurofoam, sleep the way it's supposed.
3 Abuja.
We're still talking politics and current affairs now. This is Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. In case you just tuned in for the first time, CJN on how to stop conflicting rulings. That's what we're looking at this morning. And our guest has been Barrister Ahmed Tanimo Abubakar. Is a public affairs analyst, a human rights activist, and lawyer based in Abuja. You want to give your 2 cents, into the discourse this morning. I mean, one of the things that the justice had looked into as a way forward was the fact that she advocated for conferences by justices to prevent conflicting rulings. And Lateef Agbemi, who happens to be the Attorney General of the Federation, emphasized the need for judges to remain vigilant and steadfast in their defense of judicial independence. Now, Adegboyega Awomolo, who's also a SAN, chairman of the body of benches, had stated that the result or the faults of a few bad eggs, cannot be used to assess all judges. Monica Dongban Mensem President of the Court of Appeal, and emphasized the need for judges to be mindful of the challenges facing the judiciary and to remain committed to upholding the integrity of the judicial system. And finally, Nyesom Wike, who happens to be the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, is pledging to provide independent support to ensure that the judiciary functions effectively. Now, all of these statements, if put together, do you think is loud enough to indeed reposition the judiciary in the country, as well as bring back, trust between the citizenry as well as the judiciary in itself? But you want to tell me your thoughts on this as well? What could be the possible solutions? What could really be done to ensuring that the judiciary begins to have a new face? Well, call the studio number now, 0907 353 0044. That is the number that you should call. So stick to that number, 0907 353 0044, as we go conversational. And keep in mind that you can only send a WhatsApp message, right? Typed message via the WhatsApp portal, and we will take your thoughts on this one and go conversational. The WhatsApp portal number now would be 0909 705 4450. Alright, that's a miss though. Keep the calls coming through. But then let's go see what messages are there via the WhatsApp. And okay, quite a number of messages now. Let's go see this one here. And this one says, all right, Abbas reporting from Duce, standing on existing protocols now, says, I'm glad we're talking about the judiciary. It's not only conflicting judgments we are dealing with in Nigeria jurisprudence, we also have the issue of judicial misinterpretation of law by lawyers. This aspect has to be looked up, right? It says, imagine a renowned lawyer not knowing defamation under Nigerian law could be a criminal offense. This was how they misinterpreted and told Nigeria Abuja has a special status. I want to plead with Afeba Balola to ensure his case with Dele Farotimi see the light of judiciary proceedings so we can all understand how not to defame someone in writing a book or any other ways. All right, Abbas is saying that now. And this one here from Oganamano Austin, all the way from Ado in Nasarawa State. Appreciate that from you though. Says conflicting court judgments by judges boil down to corruption. The sacking of former CJN on Ogan by Buhari was Buhari's plan to have his way to remain in power, right? That's what Austin on Oganamano is saying now. Let's see what Tekambi Hundu from Nasarawa State as well is saying. Says, I greet your guest. I represent Karo Nasarawa State. Apart from the conflicting judgments, some judgments passed are clearly seen as being bought by politicians. Many governorship election judges decided who was pronounced the winner and not INEC, and we begin to wonder how judges arrived at the verdict. Example, Imo State and Bayelsa State governorship elections. In Bayelsa, less than 24 hours to swearing in, a judge removed both governor-elect and deputy on grounds that one of them forged his certificates. The question is, why not remove the only person found wanting instead of removing the both in Imo State? Someone came fourth, but judges declared him the winner. All right, that's what Tekambi is saying there. Well, Barrister Ahmed, I mean, we've heard the plethora from the family members there. How do you react to these, though?
Yes, I align myself to some of the comments and suggestions made, and the fact that what is expected is for the government to declare a state of emergency in the judiciary so that there will be a complete overhaul. We cannot make any meaningful progress unless we have a robust and very effective and efficient judiciary. The budgetary allocation for judiciary is enough for our courts to be revamped, for more judges to be appointed, and for all other needs in terms of manpower, capacity building, and resources to be provided. They all have the resources. I will shock you to note that before now you have instances of judicial those are the aim of affair, returning budgetary allocation. When you still have ports that are dilapidated, what is expected is for the National Assembly to and the organ of them to increase the budgetary allocation, and that will inform the judiciary They need to provide what they require. We don't want this a situation where a minister like the Minister of FCT, Nelson Wike, will be giving gifts of the building to judges. Judges have powers within their means to provide for their accommodation. They have powers within their means to provide for cars, for vehicles. That is what the independence of the judiciary will translate to. The judicial angle to be able to have a very revamped system whereby the needs and the expectation of our judicial officer will be taken care of. Go to the lower courts, go and look at the situation. You find the magistrates, the area court judges, and then summary court judges, even the high court judges, they are not doing too well in terms of their basic needs and things that will make them to function effectively. And why is it like that? If you look at an average member of the National Assembly earning close to more than 20 million in a month, what about our judges? What are they doing?
But haven't we seen,
to end that much?
Barrister Ahmed, haven't we seen some very giant strides by this administration? I mean, where we've seen in terms of arrears, in terms of monies paid to the judges, in terms of accommodation for the judge. Haven't we seen some bold steps, in transforming the lives of justices and judges as well as the judicial system? But you made mention of the fact. You're saying that it's not getting even to the magistrate courts, it's not getting to the the little courts, customary courts, and all of that. Could this now be selective support given to that very arm? It's worse. What, we didn't get you. Sorry. Oh, okay. Let me get with you. Let me get with you.
Interfering on behalf of the judiciary.
Yeah.
It is the judicial organ that prepare its budget that will equally itemize the need and requirements, the cars, the houses, and all other welfare packages. It should not be the executive. Because how do you get justice? How will you have the perception of getting justice when the minister is the one providing accommodation, and tomorrow you now have a case before a similar judge that has been given an accommodation, and the case will now involve the Minister of FCT? No matter the transparency in the case, that doubt already has been created for the fact that you now have a minister that is providing for accommodation of judges at the various court of appeal. And so we don't need that. We want our judiciary to be truly independent. They have the powers. The Constitution has given them that guarantee. It should be on the first line charge. Budgetary allocation for judiciary should go straight to the judicial officers, and they should be able to cascade it down. They should be able to make provision for their housing requirements, their vehicular requirements, and all other allowances to make them function optimally. They don't need any gifts. They don't need any intervention from the executive. Gone are the days where the governors will be buying cars for the judicial officers. Gone are the days where the minister or governor will be making provision for accommodation. It should come directly from the judicial. And that is why a lot of lawyers are clamoring that there should be a separation of office in the management of judicial activity. For now, at the moment, is the chief judge of the federation that can be still like the administrative head of the judiciary.
Right.
We need to do more in terms of separating the powers. Let the chief judge of the federation and other judges focus squarely on the issue of litigation and court proceedings. Then we should now have an administrative arm that they are not answerable to the, maybe answerable to the National Assembly, so that they should now focus on administrative requirements of judicial officers.
All right, but one of the things that Justice Kekere, Chief Justice of Nigeria, Kekere Ekwan, said was that there's a need for conferences. She was advocating for conferences for justices to be held on a regular basis, and that this way it will allow for these justices to look at their past antecedents, look at the current situation, and of course align with themselves with what the process and the system entirely out. Now, my thoughts, and I'm sure Nigerian is asking that question too, how can conferences by justices be effective in preventing conflicting rulings? Right?
Conferences are already ongoing.
They're ongoing.
At the moment.
Okay.
The National Judicial Institute is ongoing. It's an ongoing process. They do hold seminars, symposiums, workshops. It has been on for a while.
So is that
now.
helping? Is that helping?
What is required is that is consequences for such action. We should now be able to have judges being sanctioned for either deliberately giving conflicting ruling or for the failure to be circumspect in the way they go about in their conduct. In the immediate past, there are a lot of issues that have gone unpunished. There should be a an evaluation and review mechanism. If it is a CJN, if it's a separate body, they should create like a monitoring unit under the judicial arm whereby their work will be scheduled by former judges, practicing lawyers, experts, data analysts, so that they will have a dashboard for every court. At the moment, the judicial sector is yet to be automated. The automation process is ongoing, but it's very slow. To be able to evaluate all the cases in a seamless manner, the activity of the judges. Yeah, one of the major challenges most government sectors and organizations is that there is this absence of supervision, adequate supervision.
Right.
If as a judge, you know that your proceedings are being monitored, reports are being rendered, any action that goes against what is expected is being reported, and appropriate actions are being taken simultaneously as you are violating any of the rules of court, as you are doing anything that is inappropriate, actions and reports are going on. A lot of people, Nigerians work up money if they are over supervised.
Let me put it back to your thoughts. Let's take this call. Hello and good morning.
Hello, good morning, Daniel.
Yes, good morning to you,
well,
please.
Please permit me to quickly ask.
What is your name, please? What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Sorry, my name is Tekim Behundo.
All right. Thank you, Tekim. Let's get into it.
I want to ask a question. Yes, your guest, you are talking so well, but I want to ask him, on several occasions, we have seen where after 8 years or 4 years, the EFCC will pick up, a former governor, and they will not invite the deputy. For example, the Yabelo has been picked up, and the deputy, has not been caught. But why, is it that, in Bayelsa State, the governor-elect and the deputy governor-elect, the deputy governor was, accused of something wrong. And then both the governor-elect and the deputy, the judge say, they should go. Why can't the judge remove only the deputy who was found wanting? That's the question I want to ask you again. Thank you.
All right, then. Take a be right there, giving some thoughts. Barrister Ahmed.
You see, the issue of prosecuting criminal offenses is not within the purview of a particular judge. That is the responsibility of the security agencies and the Ministry of Justice.
Okay.
And the constitutional provision makes it clear. They determine who they are to prosecute. So unless we call for constitutional, where we will now make it compulsory. We have a system like what we have in America. Maybe when anybody writes a petition that so person is being suspected to have committed a crime, then it should now be incumbent on the judiciary to commence prosecution, and that will only become effective if the office of the Attorney General is separated from the Minister of Justice. We've clamored for that, so that the Attorney General should be like an elective position. The Nigerians will be the ones that will elect who will be the Attorney General, and they will be able to dictate how prosecutions are done. At the moment, if the political appointment is tied with the Minister of Justice and is being appointed by the government in power, so they have the power to determine if they will prosecute only the governor, if they will prosecute only the deputy, if they will prosecute them combined. It is not within the purview of anybody to now tell them who they want to prosecute.
Right.
So you continue to have incidents where two people will conspire to commit a crime, and one individual out of the two will be prosecuted and the other will be left alone. Mm-hmm. Some they use it as a strategy whereby the other will now be used to testify against his principal so that you can get early conviction. But as we have it today, the description of who to be prosecuted for any criminal prosecution completely lies with the security agencies and most importantly the officials of the Ministry of Justice. In fact, the Ministry of Justice have the power to enter what is called nolle prosecute. They can at any time before judgment is given, they will decide to say that a particular criminal prosecution is to be suspended indefinitely until when they feel otherwise. So we should be careful that we should be mindful that the Ministry of Justice have enormous powers. So also the security agencies and other prosecuting agencies. It does not lie within the court for the court to dictate to such kind of bodies and agencies on why a certain individual will be prosecuted. Is what is brought before the court that the court will act on. Usually the hands of the judiciary is usually tied.
Okay. Well, I want to appreciate you. Thank you for your thoughts. But if we're to look at a comparative analysis now of the issue of conflict in court rulings in Nigeria, juxtaposed with other countries, you look at Ghana, even though Ghana has a similar problem of conflict court rulings, which has been attributed to lack of clear and consistent judicial, policy. We saw what happened with the elections, which was largely termed free and fair. Somewhat reflecting the voice of the people. And then you might as well look at South Africa having a well-established system of judicial review, and that helps to prevent conflict in court rulings. The United States has a system of judicial review, which also helps to prevent conflict in court rulings, and also has a clear and consistent judicial policy right there. Quite a number of expectations out there Nigerians are having, and implications here and there and all. But then you've mentioned that regular review of court rulings to identify areas of conflict is necessary, developing guidelines and protocols for judges to follow in delivering rulings, establishing a system for reporting and addressing complaints of conflicting court rulings, regular training and capacity building for judges, and judicial staff, and finally establishing a system for evaluating the performance of judges and the judiciary as a whole might just be the key areas or the things that might should be done to ensuring that we have a very beneficial and people-oriented justice system. But thank you so much, Barrister Ahmed Tanimu. It's always a good time having a conversation with you. You're a public affairs analyst, a human rights activist, and a lawyer based in Abuja.
Thank you for having me. It's a delight being on your program.
That's right. Thank you. Have a great day, though. And yes, to each and every one of us that added a voice in the discourse this morning, thank you. Far too kind. You listened. You were trying to put a call through, but it's not possible. Well, thank you all the same. But it doesn't end here, as tomorrow is yet another day, another opportunity to be alive, another time to add our voice to discourses like this for the purpose of pushing forward the frontiers of our country, Nigeria.